Okay, welcome everybody. This is September 2nd. What year? 2015, right. And we are here in Las Vegas at 1 o'clock at the Southern Nevada Housing, what is this called? Housing, who knows? Regional Housing Authority. This is the youth, what? Youth what? Okay, we're just going to call it youth program? Okay. So, and we're going to talk about employment planning today. But before we do, there's some things that are very important that we go through. Number one, this is a very big, good day for you. You don't know it right now. And in fact, you might feel it's a kind of a waste of your time. I can promise you that you're going to look back at this day years from now and say either one of two things. That was a good start, or I wish I had turned it into a good start. So I am the director of education at a school called Larson Training Centers, which no one here has heard of, right? No one here has heard of that. Larson Training Centers is a post-secondary school. What does that mean? Okay, I'm going to put on the board rules for good employees. Number one, communicate. Okay. So you're here for an employment training class, and I know that you're here sort of because you have to be here because you want something else. We're going to try to change that. But I'm here to help you understand what employers are looking for. And the number one thing that employers are looking for is people who communicate. Because if you're an employer and you ask somebody a question and they do this, what does that mean to you? They're not listening, they don't understand, they don't care. And do you think that's a definition of a good employee? No, it's not. So what I want you to do is participate. At our school, we get people to change. So we have the highest placement rate of any adult school in the state of Nevada. 87% of our people, when they finish, they get employed. I don't know, do you think that sounds good, Dahlia? Okay. But here's why it's really good. Our students are either in prison, they're in prison, they get to leave prison to come to school, they get to leave prison to come to school during the day, then they go back to prison at night, or they were convicted of a misdemeanor and the judge said you have your choice, school or jail, or they're convicted of a misdemeanor and they can't pay their fines, so the judge says school, or would you like to sweep streets? Or they're sort of homeless. They live at Catholic Charities, Salvation Army, Veterans Homeless Shelter, or some other place. So our people start with a 5% chance of getting stable and meaningful employment, and they end up with 87% of them do. So that's what I do during the day. I'm the director of education, which means I am the one who gets to, good morning or good afternoon, use your book. Do you understand?
No, I don't.
Good. So I have to decide what the curriculum is, and I have to implement the curriculum. So the benefit that everybody here has is you're getting the same type of education that our other students get, which is a very high education. So a little bit about me. So I have a undergraduate degree from a good university in California called Santa Clara, which nobody's heard of here, right? The governor of California, Jerry Brown, was a graduate of Santa Clara. The lieutenant governor of the state of California, Gavin Newsom, Santa Clara graduate. The president of the University of California, his name is Janet Napolitano. She went to Santa Clara with me. She was in my class at Santa Clara. before she was president of the University of California, she was head of Homeland Security for President Obama. Before she was head of Homeland Security, she was governor of Arizona. So it's a school that a lot of people here haven't heard of, but it's a very good school. And I also went to have a law degree. Okay, so I have a law degree. You've got that going for you. So I'm pretty well educated. And I also got a 7-year term in prison for white-collar crime. So I know what it's like to go to prison in California. And that's part of the reason why our students become very successful, is because they know that I know what they have been through. And you know what I want to say to you is you guys are not on the best course in life, but the good news is you're here. You're here, here, and you're here, here. And so the idea is to help you really become the best you can be. And part of that is you have to have confidence in the person who's telling you what to do. So a lot of times when I go into prisons and I'm recruiting students, the question is, well, what do you know about what it's like to be an ex-felon trying to get a job if you've never gone to prison? Does anybody here know anybody that's been in prison? Nobody knows anybody that's been in prison? Okay, one person, all right. So they say, what do you know about what it's like to go to prison? Because if you don't know what it's like, how can I trust you? How can you help me? And I said, well, I got a 7-year term in prison in California. Now, just so you know, the reason I got a 7-year term is I was offered a 6-year term, but I said, I'm not going to plead guilty to something I didn't do. So they said, well, if you want to do 7 years, you don't have to plead guilty. So like an idiot, I took an extra year in prison. The second thing I get asked from people is, well, what do you know about being successful? Because if you're not successful, how can you help me be successful? Does that make sense? You know, if I want to be a pro baseball player, who do I want to coach me? A pro baseball player. I want somebody good. So, you know, I would say the fact that I went to a good university, that I went to law school, should be an indication that, you know, I know what I'm doing. But on the other hand, I'll give you some numbers and you can figure it out. So in California, if you go to prison, sometimes they say, well, not only do you need to do time, you have to pay money. You need to pay back cash. It's called restitution. You have to make restitution. So the restitution I have, who's good at math? Or where, are you Indian? What are you? Huh? Where's your name from? Toshima. Where were they from?
Bangladesh.
Huh? Bangladesh. Okay, cool. Okay, so who's good in math? Okay, well, let's figure it out. Okay, so the interest on my restitution is $1,000 an hour. So if I work 40 hours a week, what is my restitution per week? What's 1,000 times 40?
40,000.
40,000. That's my restitution per week. That's what the government of California says I owe. How much is that per year? Let's say I get 2 weeks off. So let's just say it's 40,000 times 50. What's 4 times 5? 20. So we know it's going to start with 20, and it has a bunch of zeros after it. So we'll have 20 with 6 zeros. How much is that? How much is that?
20 million.
20 million. That's the restitution the state of California says I owe. Now, in case you don't know, I will tell you, you have to be really smart to be able to have restitution that high. You have to be really smart. So, the good news is your we're going to be in here. Yeah.
I just wanted to know, what was restitution again?
That restitution is what you have to pay back to make good. So if you break somebody's fence, let's say you break somebody's fence, the court might say, well, you have to pay restitution. You have to pay to repair the fence. That's called restitution. So that is what my restitution is. So everybody here is, I don't want to say you're lucky, I don't want to sound like I'm an egomaniac, but you're getting better education today than if you went to UNLV and you were sitting over there. So you should be thankful and appreciative to the agency that enabled you to come here, and sort of, I guess they get paid for coming here, right?
Yes, it's incentivized.
Okay, so
$1 per class.
so that's another thing that you have going for you. You're getting paid to go to something that's very, very valuable. And I just want you to feel very safe and secure that whatever I tell you is valuable. So with our students, we're in prison, could be in jail, homeless, the very bottom. We get them up to 87%. And the reason is because I say to them, if you do exactly what I tell you to do, you're going to be successful. You're going to be successful. So you have your books, and unfortunately, or the good news is, how do you pronounce Shadia?
Shadia.
Shadia. Okay, so Shadia has been taking notes. That's the good news. The bad news is she hasn't started out the right way. You probably went right to the page after the table of contents, right?
I brought my own notebook too.
Okay, so don't use your notebook. So let's go back to the notebook we gave you. So everybody has a notebook. Everybody should have on page 5, around page 5 on the right-hand side of the page, contents. Do you have that, Angel? Okay. Tasheen? Okay. Oh, what is your name?
Linda.
Linda. Okay, is Dahlia coming back?
No, she's doing an enrollment with them during, so she may not be coming back.
Okay. She might not be coming. I'll leave her. Okay, so you have your table of contents. We don't give handouts. Why do you think we don't give handouts? Okay.
Because this is a computer-based learning course?
Nope. Good answer, but no. Linda, why don't we give handouts? What's this the first thing that comes to your head?
We just tell them.
Okay, that's an answer. Angel? Don't know. Okay, so good employees communicate. This isn't good. That's not good. So we need to get employed. Here's the fundamental thing about getting a job. If they like you and you can do the job, they're going to hire you. If they don't like you, no matter whether you can do the job or not, they're not going to hire you. If they like you but you can't do the job, they probably won't hire you. If they like you and you can do the job but somebody can do the job better, probably won't hire you. Okay? So we have to work on skills. You have to, one of your homework assignments for the rest of your life is you have to become likable. Now, you might not like yourself. At our school, most of the people don't like themselves. And therefore, they think nobody's going to like them. What do you think happens if you go up to somebody and you're saying in your brain, I hate myself? What are they going to think about you? Positive? Probably not. Okay? So our thing here is to get people stable, don't write this down, and meaningful employment. Okay. Now, but let's go back to our books. The book is very important. We don't give out handouts because you don't learn if somebody gives you a handout. What do you do? If somebody gives you a handout, what do you do mentally? What do you say in your mind? What does your brain say?
I can read it later?
Yeah, I don't need to learn this now because I have the handout. I can learn it later. I can do this later. I don't need to know it now. The reason we write things down is so we remember. Our brains are designed to forget 70% of what we learn today if we don't review it. The difference between A students and C students is A students study. And every time you say something or you write it down or you talk about it, you make another copy in your brain. So when you're studying math, you go home and you do it again, what happens in your brain?
It will stay.
Yeah, because you're making another copy in your brain. You're strengthening the connections in your brain. The difference between A students and C students is A students remember. And they remember because they study more. It's that simple. The difference between good employees and bad employees is good employees remember what they're supposed to do. And they generally do it before somebody asks them to do it. It's like being an A student versus a C student. So we need to remember, we need you to remember what we're going to talk about in here today. And one way to remember it is you've got to write it. So you're hearing it, your muscles are doing this, and you're seeing yourself write it. So you got 3 shots at it. If we give you a handout that says here's what it is, what do you do with the handout? You put it under your book somewhere, you skim it, you don't remember it. So this book becomes very important. And what I want you to put on the front, where the white part is, you put this. Okay? You put res geste, and then you put your name and the date. Oh, thank you. You put your name and the date. Here, I'll let you go in. So this is about on page 5, and then you start numbering the lower right corners of the pages, Linda. 1, 3, 5, 7, so as you flip through. So when you go to your table of contents, you'll have something that says page 27, you know where page 27 is. On the cover, you write res geste. That means, in Latin, things done. You don't write things done on it, you just write res geste. Now, when other people see your book and it says it on the front, what is their brain going to say to them? Okay, what else? Are they going to think, boy, that person's dumb? They put words on there that don't mean anything? No. They're going to say, that person must be smart because that's in a different language. And if they're really smart and they recognize that's Latin, they're going to say, huh? That person's got a book of Latin? That person must be really smart. This is a book for you to keep, and this is a book where you write down stuff for work that you're going to need in the future. So at our school, we teach people how to use the cloud. And they have to learn a lot. But they aren't going to remember because you forget 70% of what you learn if you don't review it. So they have to write it in their book. So if it's this week we're studying Gmail, so if you want to learn things about using Gmail as a professional, we do it on computers, but you also have to write it in your book because at some point in the future, you're going to say, I remember doing that. I don't remember how to do it. Oh, I have my book. I have my res geste book. And on your table of contents, it'll say, whatever it is, Gmail, go to page 27, whatever page it's on. So this book is very important. If you come back next week, and I think that you should, if I've done my job, you're going to want to come back, you bring your books back. Do not leave your book. You go get a job and you take a backpack. You bring your book along. This is the book that is your recipe book for success in your future because you're not going to remember. Nobody does. Nobody does. You see people that go to Harvard or Stanford, they take notes, they review their notes. They don't say, I don't need to do it. People who get C's, people who go to UNLV, have an attitude of, I don't need to write it down. If I write it down, people are going to think I'm stupid, that I can't remember it. I'm not going to write it down. And then what happens to 70% of what they learn? Huh?
They don't remember.
They don't remember it. Okay, so it's very simple. So what we're going to do here for 2 hours or for an hour and a half is we're going to talk about things that give you advantages for getting employment. Now, on another page, just go to a blank page, like page 3. Go to page 3 in your book and write stable and meaningful employment. At the top of the page, up here, at the top, it's kind of like our signpost. I want you to write, if you don't know where you are going, comma, any path will take you there. And then when you have it done, look up. So if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there. Okay, good. Done? Try to smile. Might be hard. Just remember the good news is we're all alive.
I'm proud.
Employers like people who are likable. Okay, everybody's done. Good. Now, in law school, what they do is they'll have a law, speed limit 15 miles an hour. And then the important words they underline. Okay? So under this, you have this now on your page, right below the line. So skip down and write stable. And then we're going to talk about stable. Because this is our roadmap. This is what we're all about here. And if you don't know where you're going for employment, any path will take you there. Okay, so if I say, what do you want to be 20 years from now? And you say, I don't know. Well, that means anything you do, you're going to end up heading to I don't know. If you say, I want to be an astronaut 20 years from now, that's the destination. That's where you want to be. Now you know what you have to do to get there, right? If you want to be an astronaut, you have to do all of these things first. If you want to be a doctor, you have to do all of these things to become a doctor. If you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what you want to do in the future, anything you do today is going to help you get to, I don't know where I'm going. And that's not where you want to go. Our goal, where we want to end up, is stable and meaningful employment. That does not equal a job. So underneath that, put job. Doesn't equal a job. Now, stable. What does stable mean? Linda, stable. What does that mean?
You keep your job, like you keep your job.
Okay. Let's not talk about in terms of a job. Let's say I say the bottle is on the table. The table is stable. What does that mean?
Secure.
Okay. Secure. What else?
It's
Stable.
not going
It's not going to move. It's not floppy. It's not going to fall apart, right? It's not going to fall down. It's stable. It's doing what a table's supposed to do. So stable employment now would be what? What would stable employment mean to you? What did you say, Linda, when you're talking about a job?
Keeping it.
Yeah, stable employment would be, you know that tomorrow they're going to be there, and you know you're going to have your job tomorrow. You don't get up in the morning wondering, am I going to have a job today? You don't go to sleep at night wondering, am I going to have a job tomorrow? It's stable. You can count on it. You can go out and borrow money because you know you have a stable job. Is being a janitor at Walmart stable? Is Walmart going to be there tomorrow? Yeah. Walmart's going to be around, right? Nobody thinks Walmart's going out of business, do they? Do you, Angel? Okay, so then it's stable, right? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, stable. Is being a janitor at Walmart stable? Is that a job that's going to stay? Or are they going to get rid of all janitors? Stable, right? Stable. So you want to have a job that's stable, but is it meaningful? Would you want to go to your kid's second grade class and say, I'm a janitor at Walmart? Okay, is any 7-year-old kid, when that somebody says, what do you want to be when you grow up? Does anybody say, I want to be a janitor at Walmart?
No.
No. Okay. So that's stable, but it's not meaningful. Okay, so stable is something that you can depend on. It's solid. It's going to be there tomorrow. It does what it's supposed to do. What is meaningful?
Worthwhile.
Okay, worthwhile. Okay. Now let's take that to a job. What does it mean in terms of work?
Where you wanted to be in life?
What?
Where you wanted to be?
Okay, well, you're on the right track. So if we have a target, okay, you didn't hit the bullseye, but you were on the target. Okay, so what is meaningful? What is meaningful employment?
Doing something you enjoy?
No. So let's say you enjoy killing pigs at a pig farm. Was that meaningful? No, it's not meaningful to you. We don't mean, okay, so good point. I'm not talking about meaningful to you. We're talking about meaningful that other people would say, oh, wow, cool. What is that?
Healthy.
Huh?
Healthy.
Okay, now let's say, is being a sculptor meaningful? Or a painter, an artist, painter. Is that meaningful?
Yes.
Yeah, right. It's very meaningful work. Is it stable? No, it's not stable. Most painters don't make money till after they're dead. Okay, because then you can't make any more, right? Supply and demand. So meaningful is things that people give value to. You know, they say that's cool. Or if you're my age, you say that's cool. What do you say to she instead of that's cool? What would you say in school?
Like it's good.
Good? You'd say that's good? Okay. So we don't just do meaningful stuff. At our school, we don't say to people, we're going to teach everybody to be a sculptor or a painter, even though they're meaningful. So the key word is stable and meaningful. You can count on it and it has value. So being a nurse is stable and it's meaningful work. Being a teacher is stable and it's meaningful work. That's where you want to get to be. Is being a clerk at a gas station stable? Maybe, maybe not. The gas station will probably be around. They'll probably always need clerks. Is it meaningful? Are your kids going to be proud of you if you say, I'm a clerk at 7-Eleven? No, not really. Okay? But it's work and people need money. So we don't teach people to do that. Is being a bartender stable? Could be. You know, if the bar is going to be around, they're always going to need bartenders. Is it meaningful? Not really. So where we want to go is stable and meaningful work. We don't want to settle for things that are called jobs. So in your books, write down that a job, from now on, our definition of a job, what your definition of a job should be, a job equals something you do to pay the bills? Something you do to pay the bills. Most people have jobs. Why? Why do they have a thing where it's just to pay the bills? They don't like it. It's not meaningful. Why? Well, because they didn't come to this class. Not you. Yeah, because they need it. They need to pay the bills. We all have bills to pay. We have to pay the bills. Most people settle for a job. A job is okay if it's part of your plan. And what we're talking about today is an employment plan. It's a plan for employment. Okay? Job is something you do to pay the bills, and it's okay if it's part of your plan. So let's say your plan is to be an actress or an actor. Okay, what do actors do before they get a movie deal? What do actors do?
Acting school?
Okay, after acting school, while they're waiting for their big break.
They're extras?
Hopefully, probably not. What do the ones do who aren't that? What do most of them do?
Get a job, sustain, and then try to get to as many acting jobs.
Auditions? Okay. So what a lot of them do is what? What do? When they're waiting for their break?
They find jobs
As what?
as
What's the number one? Waiter.
oh,
They're a waiter.
it's a waiter.
Okay. Oftentimes, like in LA, people who are your waiter, if you say, what do you meet them at a party, what do you do? I'm an actor. Oh, cool. Great, you're an actor. Have you been in anything? Have I seen you? No, right now I'm working at, Joe's restaurant because I'm waiting for my break. I go out and do auditions, I'm waiting for my break. That's a job to pay the bills. It's perfectly okay because they have a plan. What is their plan?
Become an actor.
To become an actor. Right. Guys like me, you're in law school, you have to pay the bills. What do? Can't be a lawyer, right? Because you're in law school. You can't pretend you're a lawyer. What do you do to pay the bills when you're in law school?
Get a job.
Like doing what? Clerk at 7-Eleven, bartender, waiter. You do whatever you do to pay the bills. Most people get a job to pay the bills. They don't have a plan. They don't have somewhere where they want to go. That you don't want to do. So, stable, meaningful employment, not a job. Okay, a job you do to pay the bills. People who have a job and that's all they have, how do they act when they come home at night?
Depressed.
Yeah, that sucks. How do they act in the morning before they go to work? That sucks. I gotta go to work. How do they act on Friday night?
Leave.
Freedom! How do they act Sunday night? Ugh, I gotta go to work tomorrow. That sucks. And what they do during the day is they find ways to make it suck less. Right? So do they become good employees? No, because they don't want to be there. They're there because they have to pay the bills. Now, do you think you're going to be a good waiter if you really see yourself as an actor, but you're being a waiter because it's part of your plan to get your acting job?
Yes.
Yeah, why? What are you going to do with your job?
Your job is just a way to pay the bills until your career kicks
Okay, but when you're waiting tables, how are you going to act? If you say, I'm really an actor. I just have to pay the bills. I'm a waiter. What do? You turn your job into something for work. So if you're an actor, guess what you do? You pretend that you're acting while you're a waiter. You might go in and say, well, I'm going to pretend I'm from England today. I'm going to have this other accent. I'm going to pretend I'm a really high-spirited person. I'm going to pretend I was born in the 19th century Boston. I'm going to you do that at work, and you feel good because what are you really focused on? Your career, yeah, what you want to do. And you're using this to help you get better at your plan. So the most important thing I want you to get from this stuff here is if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there. You have to decide, make a decision. I want to be that. You have to stop saying, I don't know what I'm going to be. Choose something, focus on that path. If something better comes along, what can you do? Angel. No, if you have a plan, and you want to, let's say you want to be an astronaut, and something better comes along, what can you do? Change, right? You can change. If you tell yourself, I don't know what I'm going to do, what do you think your brain is going to do? Huh? It's going to say, okay, okay. If that's what you want to do is nothing, okay. Because I just do what you tell me to do. That's what your brain says. I just do what you tell me to do. Now, here's an important thing to write down on a different page. Let's mark this page called the connectome. Okay, the connectome. What page is this for you, Angel? 4. 4 is on the left. Okay, you don't need to write on the left side of the page. Okay, so now just start writing on the right side. Okay, don't need to. There's way too much more than enough pages in the book. We're not going to run out of pages. So just start using the left-hand side from now. So use page 5. Write the connectome on page 5. The even number pages you can use later to write notes. Ah, now I get it. I didn't know what that guy was talking about. Now I understand. And you write your notes on the left-hand page. Okay, the connectome. Anybody ever heard of that? Okay. So let's just do a little exercise. So I want you to repeat after me. Has everybody written it? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I want you to repeat after me. I, a little more energy, am my connectome. Okay, I am my connectome. Okay. This is going to be one of the most important things you ever learn. Now that you've seen this phrase, you're going to see it more. Now that you've said it, you're going to notice it more. In our brain, we have cells called what? Neurons. They look like trees. They look like these trees out here. Not these trees, but the trees out in front. They have long branches. And where their branches touch the branches of another tree, there's a little connection. That thing is called a synapse. And chemical signals go back and forth between the two, and that's how we remember stuff. In our brain, we have 86 billion neurons. About 16 billion of them are in our neocortex. Okay, the neocortex, so picture in your mind a brain. Can you see a brain in your mind? Okay, what does it look like? Kind of, yeah, all wrinkly, right? Okay, that wrinkly part is called the neocortex. That's the outer layer of our brain. And our brains are really wrinkly like that because we have a lot more neurons in them, and the only way they could fit in is if they wrinkled up. So if you have a big sheet, you you would fold it up if you want to make it smaller, but if you can't neatly fold things up, you just kind of bunch them into a ball. That's the neocortex. Okay? And it's different in humans than other animals. But there's about 80, 70 billion other neurons in our brains. The connectome is the connections of all of those neurons touching. And every neuron has about 10,000 branches. Okay, so every tree, a neuron is like a tree, every tree has about 10,000 branches where it touches some other neuron. And in our brains, as we learn, it's just like a tree. Another branch will form. And what happens in a tree with a limb that is used and the tree is watered, what happens to that limb over time?
It grows older.
It gets bigger, right? It gets thicker, and then more branches come off of that. So just like in our brain with our neurons, the more we do something, the stronger the connections are. So anybody here play a musical instrument? No? Okay, so people who play musical instruments can memorize long strings of musical notes. How do they do that? Because they practice, and the connections in their brains get very strong. So the neurons in our brains can get strong. The neurons in our brains can also get damaged or destroyed. Like how? How can neurons in your brain get destroyed?
Loss of connection.
Okay, like by how?
Not focusing on it.
Okay, well, let's get more basic. Let's say somebody cuts off part of your head. Okay, you're going to lose neurons, right? Because your head is over here and that other part's over there. Okay, let's say somebody bashes you in the head. That's going to destroy your neurons. People who have a stroke, they have blood flowing into their brain. It crushes their neurons because your skull doesn't expand. More fluid gets in there, so it puts pressure on your brain, on your neurons, and then they just die. Drugs are another way that you destroy your brain. Drugs destroy your neurons. So temporarily, they make you feel good because your brain is like, whoa, what's going on? My connections, like I can't walk anymore. I can't, the colors, because your brain isn't working right. And for a lot of people, that feels good, but what you're ending up doing is you're destroying neurons in your brain. So the connectome is all of the connections of those trees. So imagine it's like a forest. And this tree at this end of the forest, the wind blows and touches another tree, and that touches trees, and ultimately this tree caused the tree at the other side of the forest to move because the branches all touched one another. Okay, that's how our brains work. Now, in our bodies are made of what?
Water.
Just plain water? Okay, we're mostly fluid. Okay, what are organs made of?
Cells.
Cells. Okay, our body is made up of cells. Okay, what is that number?
100 trillion?
Yeah, we have about 100 trillion cells in our body. Little robots. If you had any classes in biology, you can see a cell is kind of like a little robot. It does a thing. Whatever it's programmed to do is what it does. And we have about 100 trillion of them. Here's the interesting thing. None of those cells know who you are. Okay? No cell in your body, Shadia,
Yeah.
Shadia, knows who you are. And you know what else? They don't care. They don't know who you are, and they don't care. They just do what they're supposed to do, what they're programmed to do. Does anybody in here drive? Okay. So, do you ever find yourself driving to a place and you don't remember driving there? All the time? You ever talk to anybody on the phone while you're driving? Ever eat a cheeseburger while you're driving? Hamburger? How can you drive and eat a hamburger at the same time? Okay, when you're driving, do you say, okay, I need to lift up my right foot, I need to push down on the gas pedal, just stop, stop? No, it becomes automatic, right? Because our brain, some of these 16 billion neurons are controlling these other neurons. We're not even aware of it. We're not aware. We just say, okay, I need to get on the freeway, right? And then part of your brain takes over, the driving part of your brain takes over, and it tells these other cells what to do. They don't say, Angel wants to get on the freeway. Hey, everybody, Angel wants to get on the freeway. What do we do now? They don't do that. They just are on autopilot. That's a good thing. You hear people say, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast, like it's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. What that's showing you is your body does things that we're not even conscious of. Most of what we do, we are not conscious of because there's parts of our brain in our connectome that tells other cells, do this, do that. When you eat a bowl of cereal, do you have to say, okay, mouth, start chewing? Does anybody do that? Okay, we don't do that. Now, remember the first time you ever used chopsticks? What did you have to tell yourself? Your hands. Okay, hand, you need to hold this chopstick this way, and fingers, you need to do that, right? You need to teach your cells how to do things. Once you learn how to do it, do you think you need to say, okay, I need to put the chopstick right here? You don't need to do that. You just do it. So this is a very important thing to understand. Everything happens inside of your brain. Whatever you tell your connectome to do, it's going to do. If you say stupid things like I suck, I can't do that, what are you reinforcing in your brain? You can't. What is going to happen with your connectome, that tree in your brain, that neuron in your brain, when you keep repeating to yourself, I can't do something? It's going to grow, exactly. The branches are going to get longer, they're going to have more sub-branches, whatever those are called. The limbs are going to get larger, they're going to have more branches coming off of them, and those ones are going to keep repeating the message that you're telling it, which is what?
You can't.
Yeah, I'm a loser. So, what you have to do is you have to not say negative things, because your cells, they don't know who you are and they don't care. They're just going to do what they're told to do. So if part of your brain says, I'm a loser, your cells are going to say, okay, let's start acting like a loser. And you're not even aware of it. Just like driving your car, or eating breakfast in the morning, or putting on your clothes, it's just automatic. So coming back to this, if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there. What happens to your connectome if somebody says, what do you want to be when you're 21? And you say, I don't know. It's going to say, okay, that's what you want. We'll give it to you. We're going to give you, I don't know. So anytime an opportunity comes up, you're going to look at it and say, I don't know. I don't know. So you need to choose. So tonight, those last few minutes that you're awake, you're laying in bed, and you're just about to become unconscious, you're about to lose your consciousness, what I want you to do is think in terms of what do I want to be when I'm 21? What do I want to be when I'm 31? 41? The day I die, what is it I want to say that I did for my life? And just choose something. Because you can always choose something different. But if you choose nothing, you're on the path to nowhereville. And where do you think that's going to take you?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. And you're going to end up doing what?
Job.
Having a job, not as part of a plan, but you're going to end up having a job as that's what you are. These people are called, those people who have jobs, that's not part of the plan. The people who say, oh, my job sucks, I hate my work, I hate my boss, anything negative, those people are called sheeple. They're called sheeple. They're just followers. Another term for them, less politically correct, is, can you see that?
Wage slave?
Wage slave. Those people are called wage slaves because they give up their freedom to do what somebody tells them to do for most of their life. And it's not just the 40 hours that you work at that job, it's the time that you spend every day getting ready to go to that job. And it's the time every day that you spend when that job is over and you get to come home. And it's the time on Sundays when you start thinking about what you have to go do tomorrow. You give up your freedom because you need money to pay the bills. If you have a job is neutral in itself. It's just a thing to pay the bills. Why do you have that job? That's the question. If you have the job because that's what you think life is all about, you're supposed to go work someplace that you don't really like. Is that what you got? That's probably what you guys think work is, right? It's a 4-letter word that ends in K. Right? Or wrong?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Most people grow up being told work sucks. Okay? The people who say that are wage slaves because they've given up their freedom and they've accepted that. We have, or I've met guys, very poor guys from LA. The mother worked 2 jobs, house cleaner and some, maid, just not meaningful work. She did that so her kid could go to school. Was she a wage slave? No. Okay, she had a job to pay the bills, but that was part of her plan. I'm going to get my son to be able to go to school. I'm going to have him learn the value of hard work. A wage slave is somebody who gives up their freedom to do something they don't like to do. A mother who says, I'm going to go do this because I want my kid to go to school, I want him to be a lawyer, I want him to be a doctor, she's not a wage slave. That's part of her plan. That's probably the best she can do. Okay, she didn't get to go to school. But she works hard, and she does a good job, and she does the best she can. She brings home enough money so her kid can have school books and have some pleasures and things like that. This is okay. The job in itself is neutral. It's just a thing to pay the bills. What we don't want you to do, what you don't want to do, is fall into the trap of, this is what life is all about. You go do something you don't want to do, you get paid, you come home, you say life sucks, and then you get upset at your spouse and your kids, and it's just all miserable, and you wonder, why am I alive? Okay, that's what we don't want. That's what you need to not do. And the message is, whatever you say to your brain, to your connectome, it's going to say what? Whatever you tell your connectome to do, it's going to do what?
What you wanted to do?
Okay, it's going to say what? What will it say? Hey brain, act, make me act, make my body act so that I'm a loser. What's your brain going to do? What's it going to say? It's going to say the same thing no matter what you ask your brain to do. It's going to say, okay, I'll try. That's what your brain is going to say no matter what you ask it to do, because it's just made up of these little cellular robots that don't know who you are and they don't care. So if you say negative things, your brain's going to say, okay. If you say positive things, your brain's going to say, okay, I'll try. Now, as an example of that, there was a guy who was born almost a couple hundred years ago, beginning of the 1800s, kind of in the woods. His dad was a guy that wasn't educated, but he worked farming, because back then you lived out in a place and you had to clear the land and grow crops and go shoot rabbits and things like that. And the kid had a sister. This is a true story. The kid had a sister, so a couple years older than he was. And then their mother got sick and died. So the kid was about 7, the sister I think was about 9. The dad says, well, I got to go get a new wife. I got to get on the horse and wagon. I got to go 30 miles into town and get a new wife because, you know, I don't want to be a guy with 2 kids without a wife. It's too hard. So his instruction to the kid and his sister was, okay, whatever you do, just don't burn down the cabin. Now, how would you feel as a 7-year-old kid? If your mother died, you and your sister, you're 7, your sister's 9, you're living out in the middle of the woods, no houses around, no neighbors. Your dad says, well, I'm going into town. You guys stay here, and whatever you do, don't burn down the cabin. Which kind of means if you get killed, that's okay. Just don't burn down the cabin. Because if I come back with my new wife and the cabin's burned down, now what do we do? That's really going to suck. Okay? So he grew up with that. His dad wouldn't let him go to school. His dad hired him out to the neighbors as a slave. You go work for them, chopping down trees, plowing the field, whatever. And as soon as he'd come back, he'd say, okay, where's the money? When the kid turned 18, back in those days, you could leave. So as soon as he turned 18, he was legally allowed to leave. You weren't property of your parents anymore. So he left, he went to this other town, and this was his opportunity to learn. Now, his stepmother kind of encouraged him to read, so he learned to read a little bit. He loved reading. He got some jobs where he can read, like he worked at the post office, so he could read magazines and newspapers that came in. And he tried to work hard, and but he didn't get to ever go to school. And he decided he wanted to be a lawyer. So he taught himself the law, and he became a lawyer. Does anybody know who I'm talking about? Who's the 16th president? Who's on the penny? Lincoln, right. Abraham Lincoln started out where his dad told him, you're nothing. You're just a tool. I'm not going to let you go to school. His sister died, and that was a big thing too. When Lincoln became president twice, he threatened to kill himself because of the pressure he was under. But because he had grown up in such a bad environment with such adversity, he was strong enough to handle it. He kept telling his brain, I want to be somebody. I'm not who my father said I was. I'm not nobody. I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to make something out of my life. And when things got really bad in the Union, remember the Civil War? The South said, we're not going to be part of this country anymore. He was the president. And a lot of people said, you know what, let them go. Who cares? We don't need the South. They need us. We have the factories. All they have is the cotton fields and the tobacco fields. Let the South go. 5 years from now, they're going to be begging us to come back. He said, no, I am not going to go down in history as the guy who gave up the Union. I'm not going to go down as that president. My life is going to have meaning. And the people around him that were his staff didn't like him because he was the guy who came from nowhere. He shouldn't have even been president. He became president with a fluke. And so they weren't there to help him. In fact, when they started, they said, okay, Abe, look, you don't know anything. You're just from the woods. You never went to school. You can take the credit. You just let us do the work, because we know what we're doing. Just leave it to the professionals. And he didn't agree with them. He said, no, I am going to be somebody. I am not going to go down having wasted my life. I am not who my father said I was. So when he thought about committing suicide, the other side of him said, wait a second. Do you really want to go down as nobody? Do you want your father to be right? And so when he became president, when he was talking about how great the United States of America was, one of the things he said was, if somebody who's the son of somebody like my father could become president of this country, this has to be a great country. Because you could rise up from complete nothing to become the president if you want it bad enough. That is the connecting. He just kept saying to himself, I am not going to be nothing. I don't care what anybody says. I am not going to be nothing. I'm not going to listen to other people who tell me I need to be a wage slave or a sheeple. At our school, the reason we have 87% placement is because 87% of the students believe what I just said. I don't have to be homeless. I don't have to say just because I went to prison, no one is going to hire me. I'm not going to believe this. I'm not going to believe that I can't get stable and meaningful employment just because I went to prison. Because I believe somebody out there who's a good employer will hire me if I'm good enough to do the job. If I'm the best person for that job, somebody will hire me. What do you think happens if you say that to yourself and you believe it?
Achieve it.
Okay, Angel?
I will be someone.
Huh?
I will be someone.
That will be someone?
I will be.
You will be, right. If you say that to yourself and you believe it, you will become it. That's what will happen. If you say to yourself, don't blame me, it's not my fault, I'm not in school, it's not my fault, it might not be your fault. Abraham Lincoln never said, it's not my fault, my dad couldn't read. Why should I expect to go to school? My dad didn't go to school. My dad can't read. Why should I expect to read? He didn't say that. He said, my life is going to have meaning. I am not going to be that type of person. I'm not going to be like my dad. And that's what you have to do. From today forward, you have to take the position of, I can be whatever I want to be. I'm made up of 100 trillion cells in my body. And those 100 trillion cells are going to do exactly what the 16 billion neurons in my brain tell it to do. And if I tell my neurons in my brain that this is what I want to do, and if I do the things I need to do that, then that's what I'll get. There's only one other thing, and that's luck. Because sometimes there's bad luck. You get in a car wreck, it's not your fault. You can't worry about that. You just have to say, if I do what I want, and what I believe I want to do, if I have a plan, and I work my plan, my cells are going to say, okay, I'll try. And they're going to tell other cells, and you're going to do it on a non-conscious level, just like eating a sandwich and driving on the freeway and talking to somebody at the same time. You can do all of those things at the same time. Because what's going on in the background when you're eating your sandwich and you're driving? What's going on while you're eating your sandwich? What's happening at the same time? You're driving, right? Your hands are doing this, your feet are doing that, your eyes are looking in the mirrors, you're driving a car. And you're completely talking to somebody sitting next to you. Or you're completely eating your hamburger and texting and doing everything else. Okay? So if you say positive things, if you're committed to this, while you're not conscious of it, your cells are going to be trying to do that. Okay. Any questions? Right. So now we have about 50 minutes. And we're going to talk about the, proactive employment plan. Every time you say it or write it, you make another copy in your brain. So, this is now another page. Start another page, and it's called the PEP, Proactive Employment Plan. What's the opposite of proactive? Okay, nope. Good guess. What's the opposite of pro? Inactive, sort of.
Professional.
No, the opposite of proactive is reactive. Okay, what is reactive? If you put your hand in a hot flame, how are you going to react? Ow, right? That's reactive. Something happens and you react. Proactive is you make a decision to do something. You don't wait and react. Most of the people you talk to are on a reactive employment plan. This you don't want to do. You don't want to do a reactive employment plan. What do you think a reactive employment plan is, Shadia?
Just sitting around waiting for something to happen to react.
Okay, sort of. Let's say you have a reactive employment plan. So you're going to go get a job, employment plan. I want to get a job. What's a reactive search for a job? What would that be? Okay, right. Reactive is who's hiring, I want to send to my resume. The good news is 99% of people do that. So if you don't do that, you're not with the 99%, you're with the 1%. So 99% of the people do reactive. And you have a bunch of people saying, you know what, we're going to help you with this reactive plan. We're going to help you write a resume. That makes sense, right? No. Okay, that's what they do though. We're going to help you write a good resume. What you need to do every day is you need to send that resume out to 10 companies and follow up. Okay, that's reactive. You wait for somebody to say, hey, we're hiring. How many people do you think respond to that? A lot. Hundreds. Hundreds of people respond to that. Do you want to be competing with hundreds of people for a job? No, that's kooky. But that's what 99% of people do. We're going to help you write a really good resume. And what you need to do is every day you need to set aside time to go look and send that resume out to 10 employers. And it's just a matter of odds. If you do it enough, what's going to happen?
Get a job?
Yeah, that's what they tell you. The probability is you're going to get a job. Okay, so let's play that out and see if that's really true. How many times, what are you supposed to do? What do people tell you? How many resumes are you supposed to send out a week?
10.
10 a week? Is that what they tell you? I don't know. What do they tell you?
Did they tell you what it is?
Huh?
Did they tell you 10?
Do they tell you 10? I'm asking. I don't know. I'm asking you. How many do they say to send out a week? I would think they'd say send out 10 a day. Because 10 a week, why bother? 10 a week. The probability of getting a job this way, sending out 10 resumes a week, it's going to be like 10 years. It's like trying to win the lottery. The more you play, the higher your chances of winning, right? If you buy one lottery ticket, are your chances the same as if you buy 1,000,000 lottery tickets? Right, so I would think they would say 10 a day. You go into your job interview, and the person says, okay, great, Shadia. Not right, right?
Shadia is fine.
Okay, how do you pronounce it?
Shadia.
Shadia, okay, good. Okay, I keep not sure where the accent goes. Shadia, okay. So you keep, so you're in your interview and they say, okay, Shadia, great. Are you looking for work elsewhere? What do you say?
No.
You lie?
Yes.
Okay, never start a relationship out on a lie. Never ever start any relationship out on a lie. Because it's going to be in your connectome, always wondering, are they going to find out I lied to them? And you're not going to feel good about it. So you don't want to start a relationship out on a lie. I think Linda, or whoever said yes, is going down the right path, because you say, yeah. You looking for work elsewhere? You sending any resumes out? Yeah. You tell the truth. Yeah. What's that person thinking? Are they thinking good or not good, or do you think it's a positive thing?
Yeah.
Not good.
What are they looking for? What is that interviewer looking for?
Person hired.
Yeah. What are they looking for in that person?
Person that's interested in that job.
Yeah. Person that's interested in that job. So let's just stick on that. They're interested in a lot of things, but let's stick on that. They're interested in that job. They say, Shadia, are you looking for work?
Yes.
Okay, good, cool, that's great. Are you diligent at it? Do you work hard at getting a job?
Yes.
Okay, so you're falling into this trap, right? I'm getting you to say things that might be bad for you in the end. Yeah, good, cool. About how many resumes do you send out a day?
10.
Okay, now what am I thinking? When I found out she's sending out 10 resumes a day,
She's just looking for a job.
she doesn't care about my company. You don't care about me. Why should I care about you? Right?
Yeah.
If you tell the truth, are you ever going to get a job? If you are sending out 10 resumes a day, will you ever get a job? No. Not a good job, because all good employers are going to try to find out, do you really want to work here, or do you just want a job? And if they find out you don't want to work for them, most of them are going to say, you know what, one of these 100 people or one of these 400 people actually does want to work here. I just need to find the person who wants to work here. I'm not going to waste my time with people who are just looking for a job. Because our customers, they expect good service. They don't want somebody who says, hey, you know what, I'm only working here because I need the money. I don't care about this job. Would you hire somebody who had an attitude of, I don't care about this in my company. I'm only here for the pay. Would you go to a store? Would you go buy food at a restaurant where the employee said, hey man, you know what, I don't care about here. I'm just here for the job. I'm just here for a check. Would you feel safe buying food there? If the cook's attitude was, well, I don't really like working here. I only work here because I get paid. Would you want that guy to cook your food?
No.
Right. Would you buy a latte at Starbucks if the person said, I don't care how it turns out.
No.
I'm only here for the pay. I'm not here to make you happy. I don't care about you. I don't care about my employer. I only care about me. And I need money to pay my bills. Okay? So we've already seen, if you're sending out 10 resumes a day, you're never going to get a job at a good company. Because they're going to find out you don't really care about them. What do you care about? Yeah, you care about yourself. You're a selfish person. That's how they're going to say. You're a very selfish, negative person. That's what they're going to say to themselves. They're not going to say it to you. They're going to say, wow, you go, girl. Okay? They're not going to tell you, you know what, Shadia, no one's going to hire you. They're sending out 10 resumes a day. They're not going to say that. They're going to be polite. They're going to be politically correct. Okay? That's reactive. You wait to find somebody who's hiring, and then you send them your resume. What's proactive? It's the opposite. You don't wait.
You have to go.
Huh?
You have to go.
Go what?
Go then.
You go first. Okay, so the PEP plan. And it goes back to this. What was this over here? So you guys forgot already. What was written up here?
If you don't know where you're going.
Exactly, okay? So the proactive employment plan gets you to focus on where do I want to go? So here's what you need to do. When you're in bed at night, before you go to sleep or wherever, you can think about stuff. You say, you know, what would I do if I couldn't tell the difference between work and pleasure? If I got paid for my hobby, what would that be? What would I do? So you need to look and say, what do I like doing? What is it I like doing? Okay, so that's the first step. One, what would I do if I couldn't tell the difference between work and play or pleasure? What would I do? Another way to do it would be to say, what would I do if I didn't get paid to do this? If I didn't need money, but I could choose to do anything I wanted and I would do it for free because I had money. Money wasn't a problem. I just now want to spend my time doing something I like doing. What would I do if I did it for free? Okay, would I be a janitor at Walmart? Would you be a janitor at Walmart if you didn't need the money? You would? If you didn't need the money, if you were rich, you just needed something to do during the day to give light meaning to your life?
Maybe.
Why? No. Okay. So you can do better than that. So that's okay. You don't. If you were rich, you don't need to be a janitor at Walmart. You can do something more meaningful. Stable doesn't fit into it because you have money. Okay. So I think you didn't understand what I was saying. Okay. So first thing is to think of what would I do if I didn't need money, but I wanted to spend my time doing something meaningful or something enjoyable. So you know, like there's old ladies that like doing crocheting or needlepoint and stuff like that. They just love doing it. They do it all day long if they could. Some people like walking dogs. They just like dogs. Because if you could do anything you wanted, what would you do?
Something you're passionate about?
Huh? Yeah, something that you're passionate about. Okay? So there's two types that we talk about. One is a calling. So a calling, A, is a calling. That means you do it free. You do it for free because you like it so much. I do that for free. B is called a destiny. Wow, that's so cool. You'd pay to do it if you could. You'd pay to do it. There are people that do this all the time. They like doing it so much that they'll go spend their own money to do it. Okay? So that's the first step. What would you do if you didn't have money? If money wasn't the object, if you weren't doing it for money, what would you do? Maybe become an artist, sculptor, painter, musician, writer, lawyer for people who needed a lawyer, doctor to help people who were sick, astronaut, biologist, somebody who wants to find cures to things. What would you do? Okay. Number 2, find 3 to 5 companies that do that. Okay, because if it's something you can imagine doing, somebody probably does it. Or somebody else is trying to do it. So you find 3 to 5 companies. And how do you find those companies? This is an easy question. How do you find those companies? Angel, how do you find those companies?
Internet searching.
Thank you, Angel. Okay.
Sorry.
How do you find those companies, Angel?
Searching.
Like where? Searching where?
Googling.
Huh?
Google it.
Google, right. You do a Google search. 3 to 5 companies that do that. Then what do you do?
Call them.
No. Good guess, but no. Wrong answer.
Find more information.
Okay, so what's one word that replaces that sentence? No. You guys know how to play hangman? Okay. So there's one word we're looking for. That's not you. Okay.
Oh,
Pick a letter. Okay,
O.
Linda. O. O. No.
R,
R.
research.
Ah, the winner. Okay, so you research those 3 to 5 companies. How do you research them? How do you research them? Tasheen. This isn't spelled right. Huh? It is? How do you pronounce it? So I would have thought it was Tashin.
Google.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing is Google. But then what do you do when you've already found the name of the company?
Call.
No, you don't call them.
3206, Rhonda 3206.
What are you going to call? Say, hi, I don't have a plan. Would you hire me? Okay, you're doing research. So one is a Google search. You get the name of the company, but where do you go from there?
History?
Okay, so you type in, let's say it's called Hetza Petza. Hetza Petza is one of these companies. Okay, you did a Google search and came up, oh, there's Hetza Petza. Now you're going to research. So now you go to Google and you type in Hetza Petza, right? Because here you typed in who does pet grooming. Oh, Hetza Petza. So now you type in the Google search bar, the Omnibox, Hetza Petza. What comes up?
Her story?
Okay, newspaper stories. So you get stories. Okay, what else?
Homepage.
Okay, their website. So you really research their website. You study that website. And you make your connectome very strong on that website. What else? How else do you do research? YouTube. You watch their videos. Instead of spending an hour a day sending resumes out, spend an hour or 2 hours a day doing research on these companies. And then you keep going back so you know who they are, you know what they're interested in, you see keywords, patterns popping up of what they're looking for, what they like. Virtually every good company today has a section called employment opportunities. Okay, so you do your research. Now, let's go back and pretend we're sitting in front of the interview. Shadia, okay, good. So you're here. We're in this interview. You know, are you sending resumes out?
Yeah.
What are you doing to get a job? And you're going to tell the truth. What are you doing? What do you say to me? How'd you happen to find us?
I researched.
Okay. Why?
I was interested.
No. Got to be strong on that. Because this is what I want to do. I want to do this. So then I researched, and I found you were one of what?
3 to 5 companies.
Three, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you found 4. You're one of 4 companies that does exactly what I want to do. Stop. Now in the interview, what's going on in my brain? She just said she's researched me and 3 other companies because this is what she really wants to do. How do I feel so far?
Like you will be a good employee.
I start feeling, okay, this might be somebody I need to pay attention to. Because she just said the magic words. She researched us. She's looking at 4 companies. Now what if I say, well, who else? Really? Huh, who else? That's a test question. What will you be able to say?
The other companies.
Yeah. You're going to be able to say the other companies. Now what's going to go on in that person's mind?
Do you pay attention to their company?
Huh?
Do you pay attention to their company more than?
Well, that she knows are competitors. Probably none of the other 100 people know who our other competitors are. She knows our competitors. Now, if I don't hire Shadia, and one of our competitors hires her, am I going to regret that? I don't know. You've got my attention, because I know if we don't hire you, they might. And if you're as good as you think you are, I don't really want you working for them. Right?
Mhm.
Okay, so we didn't tell any lies, we told the truth. Yeah. I'm looking at you and 3 of your competitors because this is what I really want to do. This is what I'm going to do for my future. Now they're going to test you to find out, what do you know about their company? What are you going to say, Tashine?
The research.
Okay, so you won't say, I did the research. That's okay for now. You'll say, I really like this one YouTube video that had the president and he had these dogs or whatever it was. I really like that. The only other person who might do that, who you now might lose the job to, is somebody else who's doing this, but they just are better. And you can't feel upset if you lost the job to somebody who was better. That's one of the reasons you're looking at 3 to 5 companies instead of 1. Because there's always the chance that there's just somebody who's a little bit better than you gets the thing. So you do your research, and then number 4 is you come up with a plan. And one of the things as part of your plan is your resume, right? And another one is your cover letter. If you have 3 to 5 companies, let's say you have 5 companies, how many resumes do you need? Exactly. Why? It's the same job. Why do I need 5 resumes? That other place I went, they told me I need 1 resume. I could send it to 10 people a day. You're telling me for this one job, the exact same job at 5 different companies, I need 5 resumes? I need a separate resume for every company? Huh? Why 5?
There's 5 different places you're applying to.
Yeah, they're different places. They are interested in different things. Even though they might sell hamburgers, it might be exactly the same type of hamburger. The people that work there, the interviewing guy is a different guy. The key words that they put on their website in the employment section, you want to repeat keywords that they use. You want to put that in describing you. They say we want somebody who can think on their feet. What words are you going to put in your resume? Think on your feet, right? Why? Because they said we're looking for somebody who can think on their feet. So in your resume, you would say what? I can, or I'm good at
Thinking on my feet.
thinking on my feet. And even if they're not conscious of it, their connectome is going to be saying, wow, this person sounds exactly like the kind of person we're looking for. Why? Because you repeated what they were looking for. And every company is going to be looking for something slightly different. So if you really want to get a position like this, it's worth the time to write a slightly different resume. Right? If you're talking about something you might do for 10, 15 years, or it's part of your plan, you want to own a restaurant one day, but before you own a restaurant, you need to work in restaurants. And so, even though you might only want to work there for a year because you want to get experience and you want to move your way up, it's worth the time, isn't it worth the time to customize your resume so it's exactly what they're looking for? Okay. Now, sheeple don't do that. Wage slates don't do that. They say, I'll take anything. Now, that could be okay. I want to say it again. That could be okay if it's part of a plan. If you're an actor and you're waiting, you need something to fit into your schedule because you need to do auditions, you're waiting for your big break, you need to have something that you're going to leave. You just need something to pay the bills. If you're in law school or you're in medical school and you need to pay the bills, it's perfectly okay to be a bartender or whatever. And you're not going to hate it. It's perfectly okay to work in telemarketing. If you're an actor and you work at a telemarketing company, what are you going to turn that work into? Something that helps you with your acting career. Okay, and you're not going to feel bad about it. You're going to go home at the end of the day and say, yeah, man, I really nailed it when I was pretending I was from South Africa with that guy on the phone. Or when I had a Bangladesh accent. I really nailed it. I got that guy so upset at me, he thought I was calling from India. Halfway around the world, like he didn't understand what I was saying. You feel good about it. So now you have you know what you want to do. You found companies that did that. You researched and you came up with a plan. And now you need to contact. Now let's say you want to be president of the company, but you go to their employment section and it says, well, we have a janitor's job. What do you say? Do you say, I'm too good for that? Or do you say, if I can get in there and show them my talent, I will get promoted? What do you do? Huh? You snap your feet and say, I'm too good for that job?
No.
They can't force me to be, I want to be president. If I can't be president, I'm not going to be anything. No. If you really want to work there, and you find out that this is available right now, you go get an interview. Because there's a chance you get in that interview, and and say, well, I just want to work in the, hey, I saw you, I really want to work here. This is my plan. This is what I want to be. I did my research. You're one of 3 to 5 companies. I have learned a lot about your company. I like your company. I really want to work here. All I see is you have a mailroom position open up. That person might say, you know what? Actually, this morning we just let somebody go over here. Or they might say to themselves, you know, we're getting ready to fire that guy, but we didn't have a replacement yet. This person, Shadia, could be exactly the person we want. So you get in there for the interview. It doesn't matter if the job isn't good enough. If you're good, what are they going to do? A, hire you. B, what? Promote you. So don't worry about starting out at the bottom. If you want to own your own restaurant, guess what you need to know how to do? Wash dishes. You need to know how to do that. You think you're going to learn to wash dishes when you have your restaurant? No, you need to learn to wash dishes before it was your restaurant. Okay, so we're down to 15 minutes. We're going to do a review. Okay, well, let me just close by saying, once you contact them, that means you send them your resume. And in your cover letter, you explain, this is where I really want to work, this is why. And your resume has to be perfect. Now, we don't have time today to do the resume. We only have 2 hours. At our school, we spend a week on employment planning. And we have a resume, we do cover letters, and we practice interviewing techniques and stuff like that. That's all on YouTube. But for purposes of today, to get the plan. But the thing I really want you to get is this concept of I am my connectome. That whatever you believe, your cells in your body are going to help you achieve. If you come in and you have negative body language, what does that mean? What is body language?
Giving people warm.
No, what is body language? It's the speaking that we do without talking. That's what body language is. You really have a good idea of knowing how people feel by the way they appear. Most communication with people is not verbal. It's visual. Did you know that? Most communication with people is visual. Now we a lot of times focus on the other person. Okay, so if I'm in here and I'm doing this, I'm talking to you, and you ask me a question, and I do this, I say, oh, I'm sorry, what? What did you want? Okay, what's my body language saying?
You want to help them?
I'm not really interested. Okay, how do you respond to my not being interested in you?
Will be mad.
Yeah, people don't like people who don't like them. Okay, we usually focus on the other person's body language. What are you saying to me that's not verbal? That's why that communication is so important with employers, of being able to know who's a good employee, is because it's your body language. It's the things you say without speaking. If your boss is talking to you and you're doing this, your boss is over there talking, and you're doing this, what's that saying to your boss? Yeah, I'm not interested in you. Now, what's his attitude going to be towards you? Huh? Not good. It's not good. So you don't want to give bad body language, even if you don't care. You don't gain anything. So we need to practice good body language. One of the things about good body language to start focusing on, hopefully you'll be here next week, is to be nodding your head yes or no. Not like, I don't want you to know what I'm thinking because I don't know what I'm thinking. It could be wrong. Okay, because whatever you're thinking, 3 other people in here are probably thinking the same thing. Okay, so if you're following somebody, say somebody, you have a teacher in front of the room, they're talking, and they're doing this and you're doing this, what is the teacher thinking?
They're actually listening and paying attention.
And you get it, right?
Yeah.
You get it. What if the teacher's talking, they're drawing stuff on the board, they're not asking questions, they're looking at you and you're just like this? What is the teacher thinking you're thinking? You don't get it. You're not following what I'm doing. That's not good at work. Okay, so what you need to do is get your connectome to be thinking, I need to give good body language. I need to give positive responses to things if I want something from that person, like a job or whatever. If I want that person to leave me alone, like let's say somebody's going to come in here and he's going to rob one person, right? What kind of body language do you want to give off? Don't rob me. Don't even think about robbing me, because I'll pull out a gun and shoot you, right? That's the body language you want to give off. Don't even think about it. You can rob someone else. You're not robbing me. I'm not the one. Okay, that's the body language you want to have. But in most situations, you want to have positive body language. I get it. I understand what you're saying. Okay, can you clarify that? I don't really agree with that. How about this? That's all good stuff because it's showing you're involved. And that's the difference between A students or A employees and C employees. There's 3 kinds, so let's go to a new page. And there's 3 types of people in the world, as far as employers are concerned. There's 3 types of people. One is what? People who make things happen. Okay, what's number 2?
People who wait for things to happen.
People who watch things happen. Number 3 is people who blank oops. The third type of person are people who wonder what happened. Okay, so Tasheen, which of these do you think is the best?
This one?
Huh?
This one?
Number 1? Okay. Which one do you want to be?
This.
Are you asking me? I'm asking you.
This.
You sure? Okay, which do you think you are?
This one.
You think you're this right now? You're somebody who makes things happen? You don't sound very confident. Okay, so most people are number 2. They watch things happen. They go along with the flow. this is where you want to be, but you have to have the courage of your convictions. You have to be willing to suffer the consequences of your decisions. That's why most people are number 2. They get involved in something after it's safe. And these are people who do things that other people didn't do. And so this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to wonder what happened. You don't want to be going through life just not knowing what's going on. So what do we do with this in our connecting?
Focus on the person.
Okay. So what do we say to our connecting?
I can.
I want to be a person who makes things happen. And you have to mean it. You can't have your fingers crossed behind your back. You want to be a person who makes things happen, but not really, because I'm afraid to do it. If you say this and you believe it, I want to be a person who makes things happen. That's what I want to be. Then pretty soon you say, I'm going to be. And ultimately you say, I am. I'm a person who makes things happen. But you start off with this. And again, if you don't know where you're going, what? Angel, what? If you don't know where you're going, what?
I will be,
Any, what did it say up here? If you don't know where you're going, what? Okay, Kasheen, you don't know where you're going, what? See, it hasn't even been one day. You've already forgotten 70%. Linda, if you don't know where you're going, what? Any path will take you there. Okay, if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there. So if you start by saying, I want to be a person who does this, what have you just done? You've chosen where you want to be, right? You've chosen a path. I want to be a person who makes things happen. And that's the starting point. And what you're going to find out is if you keep doing this day after day, repeating it, you're going to find out it works. And you're going to realize nobody else does this. That's the secret weapon that you have. Nobody else does it. And then lastly, last important thing is to take home, to understand, you're going to forget this stuff if you don't review it. Okay, why sit through 2 hours of something if you're just going to forget it? Okay, you need to review it. Okay, like I just said, it hasn't even been 24 hours and you've forgotten 70%. So to make it easy, you took notes and should get in the habit of taking notes all the time. Not just here, but elsewhere. If you have a book bag or you have a purse or something, you can carry that composition book in, take it with you, pull it out, say, hold on, I'm going to write this down. And if the other person's smart, they're going to say, cool. You care. You're trying to understand this because you're not going to remember it. When you start developing the habit, and then you're going to remember stuff because your brain is used to reading, writing, saying, thinking about stuff, and you won't forget. And if you remember everything, what's the result of that going to be? Bad or good?
Good.
Good. If you remember everything you're taught, that's going to be good. A students are different from C students because they study. They go and do it again. And in your brain, it just comes to, in your connectome, you're just making a stronger connection. You're just feeding that branch with stuff. Okay? So those are the high level things. What you tell your brain to do, it's going to do. You're going to forget 70% of what you learned if you don't review it. And then on the proactive employment plan, step 1 is what? Step 1? Step 1?
Figure out whether it's a calling.
Yeah, figure out what would I do if I didn't have to do it for money. If I could do anything I wanted, if I had the power of lightning, and I could do anything I wanted to do if I was qualified to do it. Anything that I'm qualified to do, if I could do that, what would I want to do? And then you do what? Once you do that, then what? Find 3 to 5 companies that do that. Then what, Tasheen? Mm-hmm. Then what, Angel?
Google it,
Well, you did your research, now what? What's step 4?
making a plan.
Yeah, create a plan. What's the plan about, Linda?
Of the company.
Your plan is, how do I get them to hire me? So I should have put that on the board. That's the plan. The plan is, how do I get them to hire me?